Good morning, good evening, namaste, hola, bonjour, and varapan. This is Namya Joshi, your host for the day. Welcome to episode 39 of the podcast Each One, Teach 10, An Amazing World of STEM, an inspiring venture where we'll be discussing that STEM is part of every day for every kid. We all will learn together how to build a STEM culture. Well, for today, my guest is Dr. Michael Harvey, who is a science educator and an e-sport director based at Marlborough Boys College in sunny Blenheim on the top of the South Island of New Zealand. He's also an MIEExpert, Minecraft Global Mentor, Flipgrid Global Ambassador, Wakelet Ambassador, Apple Teacher, and Level 2 Google Educator. He's also passionate about global collaborations to enhance the education's outcomes worldwide. We're very excited to have you here today, Dr. Michael. So, how are you doing today?
I am very well. We've just had our cross country today. It's the end of the term here in New Zealand as we move into Easter. So I'm looking forward to, well, I will say 2 weeks off, but I have lots of things planned around education for the next 2 weeks holiday.
That's really great. So, my first question for you is that I believe in game based learning, and I also see that you use game based learning for science in the classrooms for enhancing the student engagement. So, can you let us, our audience, know more about the work that you're doing regarding game based learning?
Yes, but before I do that, I will give you a New Zealand tradition. Okay, so in New Zealand, you have when you're communicating with another person that you have not met, we have the concept of turanga waiwai. So it's the place where I stand. So basically, you introduce yourself in terms of where you are from and where your ancestors are from. So I'd like to start with that first as kind of a tradition. Is that okay?
Sure, sure, for sure.
Okay, great. So namaste, of course, yes. So I'll do it first in Te Reo Māori, which is one of the languages of New Zealand, and then I'll translate for our viewers into English. So, tina koto, tina koto, tina koto katoa, which is basically just welcome to everybody, formally. So, ko titarangi ti moanga. So, titarangi is my mountain. Ko Tūranganui a Kiwa Te Moana. So Tūranganui Kiwa or Poverty Bay is my waterway. Ko Waipawa Te Awa. So my river is the Waipawa River in Gisborne on the east coast of the North Island. Ko Ngāti Pākehā Te Iwi. So I'm a New Zealand European. And ko Manatoki Te Marae. So my meeting house from my mother's side is Manatoki, which is about 11 kilometres away from Gisborne, or Tūranganui Kiwa. Ko Harvey, tako whanau, so my family name is Harvey. And ko Michael, taka ingoa. Michael is my name. Here we go.
Wow, that's actually great. And I came to know about that. Is that New Zealand language, if I'm not wrong?
Yes, that's Māori, the
Oh,
native
that's
language
great.
of New
That's really
Zealand.
inclusive. I could learn a new language listening to you right now. That's really great. I'm grateful for you for that.
Awesome. Or Karawi, as we say.
Thank you. Right. So, as we came to know about who you are and where you belong from, so now we would love to know about the work that you're doing regarding game based learning so that people watching us online can know about that and they could get brilliant ideas from you as well so that they can incorporate them in their classrooms as well.
Yeah, so in terms of game-based learning, so there's lots of confusion potentially between the difference of between gamification and game-based learning. So gamification essentially comes a lot from business. So gamification is putting game elements to try and incorporate motivation, so things like badges potentially or prizes. But I'm more focused on game-based learning, which I feel is more authentic. And essentially, it's what it says. It's learning through games. So the examples I'd like to use, and I know that you are the guru in Minecraft, And congratulations on being a Minecraft student mentor. I saw that on Twitter today. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yes. So Minecraft in particular, but also the use of role playing, especially as a scientist, getting into the mindset of what it actually means to be a scientist, or through historical context, what scientists actually thought or kind of worked through when they were making their ideas and theories. Yeah, so game-based learning, essentially learning through games.
Right, I agree with that. And I really like the concept of when you describe gamification and game-based learning, that you don't want to work just upon gamification for badges and prizes, but where we can learn like an authentic kind of learning where we're learning not just for prizes, but for learning exactly what we need from the games, such as role plays or be it what the scientists thought at that time. And similarly, like if I would like to share about some of the lessons that I made. Like I also made a few lessons on science because it's one of my favorite subjects. So like in chemistry, I try to make the states of matter. Then in physics, recently I studied that in grade 9 about motion in one dimension and how each and every concept of velocity, acceleration, retardation works, as well as in biology for the respiratory system. So I've seen like when our teachers use them in the classroom, the science learning becomes more engaging because sometimes the concepts become difficult to understand. But when we have games where we can learn from, I guess that is where the concept becomes better to understand, and it also becomes more engaging for students to realize that what the scientists thought while making different their theories, or what did each and every reaction in chemistry work for, and how do the chemicals react with each other. So I guess game-based learning acts as a very good extension to the class to make it more engaging for science, and be it any of the subject, it's just the best.
Yeah, I think it allows student agency, and I think that's critical to allow students to be able to design their own games as well. So, for example, in the Minecraft worlds, they have to co-construct how they want the world to be, whether they want to drop TNT everywhere, and what the consequences potentially are for those students in the world who do not behave in terms of the rest of the classmates. So it's about world building as well.
Right, I agree with that. Okay, so what do you think about how teachers can teach game-based learning with STEM together?
Yeah, so I think in terms of your question, in terms of STEM, I think just simple ideas for teachers is that you kind of have to do design the other way back. So you have the learning objectives in mind. So those can either be skills that you want your learners to learn around STEM, say collaboration skills. There could be content, so learning the difference between, say, an element, a compound, and a molecule, or potentially attributes of a good scientist, so resilience or tenacity, for example. And in terms of linking game-based learning to STEM, especially, I guess, in Minecraft, as an example, it would be incorporating, I think, 3 different components. And these are actually my ideas. I want to give kudos to Stephen Reed, who I know you've also interviewed in Minecraft. And the 3 components that I look to incorporate in my Minecraft worlds are the concept of open play, okay, because students do have to play and experiment to understand the Minecraft world and extend it to the physical world. Developing an environment which allows that learning to occur, and also the power of storytelling, which I think is very much underutilized in STEM education.
Right, that's actually agreeable. That when we're learning through game-based learning in STEM, we can learn different kind of skills together. Like if it's being taught separately, we might learn them like in a different way. But when the skills of game-based learning and STEM come together, I guess they make a really good world of imagination where, like you said, we are learning how to play, we're learning how to build our own environment, and then as well as storytelling. So recently, I've been also working on this world for the Merchant of Venice that I've recently been doing in grade 9 and also in 10. So I'm trying to make a few scenes of Merchant of Venice to Minecraft because since I've been seeing this, learning this through in my literature classes, I've been very fascinated about how would it look like into Minecraft. So I guess when we even Mr. Stephen Reed had made Macbeth and many other words like that. So whenever I see the literature words, they just fascinate me a lot because the storytelling through Minecraft, so NPCs or doing tasks, it makes the world just on another level, and it makes you more engaged in the class.
Yeah, I've got actually a number of students just in the last week who are looking to incorporate a lot of more NPCs. So basically for the assessment, the traditional assessment is you do a written test. Boring. So what I've actually done is allowed the students to actually create their own Minecraft world, and they have to explain. In this particular case, it's Mrs. Gren, the 7 characteristics of life. So I get the students to create their own world, they create their own animals, and then they have to explain through NPC characters the different 7 characteristics like movement, respiration, senses, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. So that's a different way to express their learning as opposed to the traditional way of just writing it in a test, which is, yeah.
That's amazing. That actually reminded me of the way that our school also uses reflection and evaluation. So, well, the thing is, like, I know the old boring test paper pen is like a very boring way of getting the tests done. So sometimes what we do is the teacher is giving us the NPC in the micro world, and the NPC gives us the question, and then we have to solve the thing in the Minecraft world itself, or do it through Flipgrid or through Wakelet or any other way. So in this way, we're connecting, we're having an app smashing of Minecraft with different tools, and then we won't have the thing in mind that okay, today I have a test and I'm getting scared, but we'll have a more excitement level that today I'm going to finally be using Minecraft with a different tool, and my teacher is going to giving me a question. How could she give that? What would be the question, and what would the screen look like? So I guess when these elements come in mind, then they help to reduce the stress level as well. And in this way, we will learn in a better way than just having stress about the test.
Yeah, and the good thing about Minecraft, of course, is they do have lessons which teachers can access and just basically apply to their classrooms, which do focus on that. I mean, I did do that with my class this term. Some students were not familiar with Minecraft, but the ability of that is I've got other students who are way above. So you've got, in New Zealand, we have the concept of tūkanataina. So you've got the younger students potentially teaching the older students about the skills that they've learned. So not only you've only got not only one teacher in the classroom, you've got a whole range of different teachers because other students are highly more skilled than I am. So it's like, you guys, you can go and help the others, and I can offer support. But it's developing that idea of collaboration. So we have a whakatoki or a proverb in New Zealand, he waka e kanoa. So it just means that we're all in this boat together, and it means that we're all working together to a common goal. Just like in a canoe, if you're all paddling in the same direction, you'll end up all succeeding.
Right. Common goals, and that's what make people succeed together. Right. I agree with that. Okay. So I see that you stress a lot on digital portfolio. How can teachers help the students to create these?
Yeah, well, the advantage actually being a Wakelet guy is a wonderful application called Wakelet. And just recently, they've actually discussed and developed a classroom portfolio. So basically, you can enroll your students either through Google Classroom or through Microsoft Teams onto Wakelet. And what I'm using it for is in New Zealand, we have a qualification called the NCEA, National Certificate in Education assessment. And what I'm allowing my students to do is I'm basically allowing them to upload images or videos or Flipgrids of the learning that they're doing in class to actually showcase their learning in different ways. So again, we've already previously discussed, rather than just doing a simple written test, the students are able to express their learning in a much wider range of media, and it allows me to assess their learning in different ways. But some students are not very good with the writing, so it allows me to say, well, actually, you do understand the science because you've just recorded this Flipgrid video which explains to me quite clearly that you understand the concepts that I've just taught over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Right, I agree with that. And I think Wakelet is the best way to use that because digital portfolios can help to develop soft skills. They require people to articulate their experiences and present them in a way that is easily understandable to other people as well. So for students, I believe it gives them an opportunity to reflect on their projects or goals, and also they can see the track of their growth over time, and that will help them to keep on continuing on their path because they will see how they started doing the tracks and how they kept on developing more and more. And that is always an inspiration that yes, I started from a good path and I'm on the right path and I should keep on continuing on that.
Yeah, and also an extra advantage that students, if they're applying for jobs later, can use their high school work as a portfolio to a potential employer, saying this is what I've actually done in class to aid them in their job search.
Right, job share. I believe I agree with that. Like even when it comes to universities and getting into colleges, I believe these are the main things. Like in our school, like every school in India, from grade 9 onwards to 12, whatever you're doing is very important because that matters a lot when you go to any university. I believe in all of the schools around the world. I think is that from grade 9 to 12, you see if you're doing something, you should keep on noting those things down, keep on participating in more competitions, and have a track of what you're doing because later it's going to help you a lot. So I believe that using Wakelet for that or any other tool that you like would help a lot to get into universities or getting jobs later. Right. So I have this question to you that despite all other things, what is your favorite leisure activity?
Oh, here we go. Okay, so I like the great outdoors. So I don't know what you would call it in different countries. In New Zealand, we call it tramping,
Oh, yeah.
but I guess other people would call it hiking, maybe if you're in North America or Europe. But yeah, I like tramping and getting lost in the bush or the forest for 3 to 5 days. Yeah,
Oh.
I like the long ones. Yeah, so I like going to a cabin, having it to myself, and just experiencing one-on-one with nature for 5 days. Yeah, so I like the great outdoors.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Like being in nature always helps you to relax yourself. Even if you're being lost, you will just get the thing around you. You'll get calm because the environment around you is really calm.
Yes, and people who know me know that I get lost quite often.
That's okay. You'll find the way out. That's fine.
Eventually, I do. Yes.
Right. Okay. So if I ask you that, if you have to name the top 5 tools you use for your learners in the classroom, what would they be?
That's actually quite a difficult question, but I think it's important for teachers to realise that you do need to focus on 3 to 5 tools. Don't try and do everything. One, because it'll confuse the students because they'll have to do a lot of different applications. So just focus on being really good at 3 to 5 different applications. So the 5 I've chosen, which were very difficult to choose. So Wakelet, which we've discussed already, allows students to curate their ideas and also collaborate. Good skills there. Flipgrid, so that's a great way to record videos to allow learners to express their learning in different ways, and it allows creativity as well because there's a lot of range of different things you can do on Flipgrid. Minecraft is another one, again, because especially my year 9 and 10 students are crazy about it, along with Fortnite. We won't go into Fortnite quite yet. And that's another way to express learning in a different medium, and it also allows creativity. And there are lots of different lessons that teachers can do ready-made, which they can use for their students. And the important thing, I think, for Minecraft is that teachers, you don't need to be the expert. Okay,
Right.
just let the kids just run with it, but do turn off TNT. And Canva is another one that I've just got used to in the last 6 months. And what I've done is I've basically created a student account as well, and that's quite useful again for learners to express their learning in different ways around infographics and videos. Quite easy and intuitively for them to use. Teachers, it's quite useful to create resources with that. And the final one is Anchor. And considering we are on a podcast, I thought that's a bit meta, Inception-like, that the students are creating podcasts. And again, it's a different way for students to express their learning. Now, that could be them just doing straight to podcast, or you could have 2 students or 3 students working in a group to ask questions of each other to kind of tease out answers when it comes to their understanding of a particular scientific concept. So yeah, that's the 5 I have chosen.
That's great. Actually, I really love the idea of using Wakelet for curating ideas, Flipgrid for recording videos or creativity, Minecraft. And when you talked about the thing that teachers need to always know how to build, because I understand that students are the best people who know how to build in Minecraft, but they might not have the ideas or inspiration of what to build. The teachers always play a very important role there. They always give us the ideas of what to build, and then students are always there to help them on how to build. So in this way, teachers and students can have a great teamwork bond with each other. And then we have Canva. I really love to make graphics as well in Canva. And lastly, Anchor, like you said, podcast best way for collaboration and talking to each other like we are talking right now, having the ideas passing through each other. So I believe Anchor and any other podcast tool is the best way to collaborate and learn from each other and share to the world listening to us. Right. So where can we find you online so that people listening us can contact you?
I guess Twitter might be the easiest way. So I'm at Dr_Harves. That's pretty much my social media moniker anyway, so you could probably search for me on YouTube there as well. I'm at the moment experimenting with lots of different YouTube videos for my senior classes, using kind of a peer instruction model. So if you are interested in senior physics and simple harmonic motion and other things, so YouTube would be quite good for that. I'm also available on LinkedIn, again, searching for Dr. Harves, and Instagram, Dr. Harves. It's all there. Yeah, so those are all ways that you can connect.
That's great. I'll put that in the for you to check out in the YouTube section, so you can read it and always go connect with Dr. Michael. So in the end, I would love to have a message from you for the audience watching us online.
Yeah, so Microsoft asked me this question as well. So I'm going to break it down to 2 things. So the big takeaway pretty much is always put the pedagogy before the technology. So think about your learning objectives before you choose a tool, rather than saying, well, I've got the tool, how can I then incorporate that into learning? That's probably the cart before the horse. And being a New Zealand educator, I'm going to throw some concepts at our non-New Zealand audience. First one is whanaungatanga. So that's the importance of relationships. Okay, so basically in education, the currency is relationships. If you don't have a relationship with your students, then you will not succeed as a teacher. They will not listen to you. Yep, so that's the first concept. The next one is manaakitanga. Okay, so manaakitanga is respecting your students' self-worth. Okay, so that's not making fun of them, for example. You're respecting them for who they are. Next one is mana mutahake. Okay, so mana mutahake is basically having high expectations of all learners, putting an expectation that you will reach this, especially because I teach boys. Namya, you're a girl. I find with girls that they like to learn, and boys aren't quite the same. But yeah, so you have to have a high expectation and make sure that students reach those expectations, or at least are attaining towards those expectations. The next one is ngā whakapiringatanga. Okay, that's having clear class rules and students know the rules. And the important thing too there is to co-construct the rules. So rather than just saying to the students, these are the rules, you're sitting down, you're having a conversation, you're saying, well, we're working together to create a family in this classroom, so we've got to work to these rules together and follow these rules together. And then wānanga, which I think has really been the focus of this meeting, this podcast, which is the innovative teaching practices, so always looking at ways to improve as a teacher. And the final one is kohahitanga, which is reflective practice. As a teacher, as an educator, and also as a student, always reflecting on how you can improve. So those are kind of my big, bold takeaways in terms of my audience in terms of education.
Wow, that's astounding, and there always that reminds me of a quote for a teacher that no, I'm not a superhero. I'm something even more powerful. I am a teacher. I don't need a cape because I'm lifted by the amazing and inspiring kids I teach, and I see that in every teacher around us, and that's really inspiring. That I got to learn many lessons from you as well, and this message that you just shared. Right.
Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, Dhanyavad. And it was really lovely talking to you today, Mr. Michael. And thank you so much for joining today and spending your precious time in the podcast. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today for this episode. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Till then, I'll see you in the next episode. Have a nice day. Each one, teach 10.